So you're adding to this momentum that we've got in the marketplace. Samsung are telling the world this morning they expect to see more spending going on, more capital expenditure on the chip side of their business. Your third quarter profit beat. Take us through the quarter.
Hi, good morning, Anna. Good morning, Manus. Thank you for having me. Yes, we delivered, I would say, a solid quarter with the growth momentum for Osram continuing. On a comparable basis, we went up 3%, but if you adjust for a special pre-buying situation we had last year, the underlying growth was actually north of 8%. The profitability on an adjusted EBITDA level was 16.4, very solid. And our cash flow was positive with around 40 million euros despite a much higher capital expenditure level when compared to a year ago. We confirmed the guidance for the year, so we expect for the year to grow still somewhere between 7 to 9%, which I think is a very strong performance. And we acquired a minority stake in a company called LeddarTech, which is a leading player in the field of LiDAR. And as you know, LiDAR is another critical building block for us to strengthen our position in the area of autonomous driving. So lots of good developments for Osram in the quarter.
So some interesting strategic developments, Ingo. Good morning. I'm looking at every line of the earnings statement that's been flashed up here on the Bloomberg, and everything seems to be coming in ahead of estimates. And in terms of the EBITDA, beating even the highest estimates that were out there, and yet you're sticking to the guidance. Is there what you call upside risk to that guidance, Ingo? Why not go the next step and suggest you're going to do better than what you've said already?
Well, we actually are positive about the business right now at this point in time, but typically now the next quarter is the seasonal low point for the business as we enter the summer season, and the automotive business typically goes on some holiday breaks, and that's reflected also in the guidance. It's nothing unusual. We've seen it also in the past, so therefore we're sticking with the guidance that we issued a quarter ago.
Ingo, you touched on the auto industry there, and we're curious to get your perspective for the second half of 2017. Both the US and the Chinese auto markets are expected to just soften back a little bit. I certainly know that in the UK it's softened. Your perspective, are you seeing a softening on that side of the business? Your outlook for the second half there?
So we clearly see a softening in the United States, where now if you look at the official forecast, production growth is actually forecasted to decline for the calendar year by around 2%. We are still growing in the U.S. because the content that we put into cars has somewhat of a different growth pattern, so we still expect positive growth, but overall the market is expected to decline. APEC is still today our growth driver, but we've seen some slowdown in China, although we expected the growth in China again to pick up again in the second half of the year. But the last quarter we saw a little bit of a slowdown, but I think that was because we had a really strong first half in that market, and now we're sort of taking a little breather, but for the rest we think that that market's going to pick up again. And Europe is on a good level. I think you've seen some of the earnings results of other companies this morning as well on the auto industry, and we're seeing that as well. So overall, we're still positive about auto, but the U.S. is on a decline at this point in time, and China is taking a little bit of a breather.